everybody, happy Monday. That's when I'm filming this. It is November 30th and I wanted to start today's short teaching on a story that happened to me in Finland last year. And my family went in December to Finland and to go to Lapland and the place where Santa Claus lives and all that good stuff. And we wanted to take our kids when they were young, and it was such a blessing, other than the fact that two things. One, I had a really bad cold, flu, infection, something. So I actually felt horrible the whole trip. But coupled with that was the fact that we were staying in Finland just north of the Arctic Circle, and it's really, really, really dark there in December most of the year. Actually, not most of the year, during December, sorry. In the summer, it's quite light and it never gets dark. But anyway, so we were there, and my husband and my kids, we had a full agenda, and I could barely do any of it. I just stayed back at the cabin where we were staying. And basically what would happen is it was only light from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. every day. And when I say light, I mean the sun didn't really shine. It was, blankets of clouds, and it was really depressing, especially when you're not feeling well. And so, everybody would get up early in the morning, and I would kind of mosey around in my pajamas, and Clark and the kids would go off and do something really fun, and I would go around and try to turn every single light on in the cabin that I could turn on. And they had these beautiful little candles that were in the window, and I would light all those candles. And then, if it wasn't, pouring down snow, I would go out, I would just make myself get dressed, and then I would go outside and I would just look around, because I was like, I need some light, I need some light. And the only thing that was kind of a little reprieve was one day when I was feeling okay, I decided to go on the husky ride, and that was good. It was towards the end. I was feeling a little bit better, and we went out into these forests where it is just blankets and blankets of snow, and the forests are on one side, and we're kind of doing the husky trail alongside of the edge of the forest, where there's massive amounts of open fields and land, and it was so beautiful, and it was the whitest white ever. So even though it was so dark and there was hardly any sun at all, it was like a little gift from God that even though the clouds overhead were white, the whole ground was white, and so somehow things seemed a bit brighter. And this got me thinking, because this week's homework is Day Spring, and I'll mention that in just a second, which means first light. And I started thinking about Advent and just our world that we live in, and the 5 days of homework talk about, the darkness in the world, the darkness in our own hearts, and Jesus being the light of the world, as John's Gospel explains so beautifully. And also, I heard this morning, I read in some reading, even in Genesis 1, God calls the day good, and he says, and I'll read it here with my glasses because I can't see. It says in chapter 1 verse 3 in Genesis, then God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And it doesn't say that he called the evening times bad, but he says in particular, light is good. And if you think about humans, we tend to be creatures of we're always looking for the light. If you think of the creation, how flowers and trees and things, when the sun is shining, they tend to bend towards the light. That's just how creation goes, and we are the same. And I started thinking about just daytime and nighttime, because obviously some people do have to work during nighttime, and those are little angels who help, because obviously we get sick at night as well. But I was thinking about this concept of daytime versus nighttime, and whether this is not theologically I've not thought much about this, but how we're meant to be awake during the day, and at the nighttime, that's when we rest. And if you think about it, in our world, the nighttime is very difficult for people who are grieving or sad. Nights tend to be harder. If you think about children who get scared, they get scared of the dark, they get scared at nighttime, they get scared going to bed. Or when you have a cold or a sickness, it always ends up being worse in the nighttime. And so, I'll be honest, like I've shared with the class before that, for the past couple of years, strangely, I have been waking up between about 4 and 6, not by choice, but I can't sleep during that time. And that'll be the time where I feel like most, my mind, my thoughts, like really coming at me, attacking me. And I wake up worried about everything that you could possibly be worried about, things that are stupid even to be worried about, but, really concerns of this world. But one of the things that I feel like has been a blessing from the beginning of waking up so early during that time is that God has met me there in some really amazing ways. Almost every day, that is the time that I hear His still small voice in the midst of that darkness. And it's so bizarre because it's my least favorite time of the day, but it's also where I get just beautiful pictures and visions, and I get answers to things that concern me, and I get ideas of how to pray for people. And so it's amazing that even when times are the most darkest in our souls, that God will be there. And I thought this week was funny being called Day Spring, because what Day Spring means is it's the beginning of the morning. It's like just that, like very first like hint of light that's coming in. And so it's like just the beginning of the beginning. And like sort of when you see, if you have like a dry ground and you just see, in the early spring, that little green shoot coming up out of the ground, it's almost like there's hope. When you just thought nothing was going to happen, nothing good was going to happen, when your answer was not going to come, when you just thought this is actually the darkest that I can probably get, that there's just a little sliver of hope, like that green shoot. And I think that's why this early morning time has become precious to me, because I know that even if I do wake up most mornings at that time, that God is like, this is now when I want to speak to you. This is when I want you to hear me. And, because God delights to communicate with us. And so, that is what, the Christmas season is about. That's what the first Advent, the coming of Christ, was about, when the world was completely bleak and dark and hopeless, and they longed for their Messiah, that in the middle of the night, a child was born. And it made me think about, there's a passage in Isaiah 60, verse 1, I'll read it here, I have it in front of me. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord shines over you. I'll read it again. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord shines over you. That is the message of hope. That is the message of Christmas. That is what this first Advent, the church's first Advent week, which is right now, is all about. Then in the middle of the darkest times, no matter where you're at or what you're suffering through, that Christ is the answer. He is the light of the world, and He is our hope. So I pray that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you again next week. Bye.